Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video, quickly as always, is a question. I want to answer a question I was being asked about whether it's okay to drink alcohol while performing close protection services, etc. As a general rule, no, you want to avoid alcohol. Not only when you're providing the services, but also the day before, the night before especially. You don't want to be turning up for work thinking of booze. And I know some people do. I might turn a blind eye to it once, but if it becomes a habit with people, they obviously have a drinking problem. They shouldn't be working for you, etc. I know these days, from a corporate perspective, it can be very difficult to fire people if they have drinking problems. You know what? We're not corporate. You screw up too many times, well, once, you screw up more than once, thank you, goodbye. You screw up big time once, goodbye. Now, what I have issues, and this is where sometimes drinking alcohol helps you to blend in. If the client is going to a bar, a restaurant, etc., would it hurt to have a glass of wine? Would it hurt to have a beer with the client just to blend in? You know what, if my guy's done that, and I know they do that, I don't particularly have a problem. If somebody goes out and has a glass of wine or two, as long as they're not driving, I don't see an issue. The other thing you need to take into consideration are the laws on firearms. Can they drink, and are they allowed to have any alcohol around them when they're carrying firearms, using firearms, etc. So again, if in some situations, in some cultures, it can be difficult to refuse alcohol. Saying you're carrying a firearm or you have to drive, to me, is a good excuse. If you don't like drinking, if you don't want to drink, I always have an excuse in place if you're around clients or in cultures where drinking is mainstream and expected, and it is in some cultures. You know what, for me, most people, if you should be able to have a glass of wine, have a beer, maybe two, and not be completely drunk. If you're one of those people that can't drink, then, as I said, always have your excuses in place. Let me expand on that. If you're in a management position, if you're dealing with clients, if you're going out to dinner with clients, if you're entertaining clients, potential clients, you might have, it's commonplace if you go out to dinner to have a glass of wine, to have a beer. And I know I was dealing with somebody once, and we were dealing with something in another place, in another country, and they told the client, oh, we can't drink, etc. And the client's response was, why? And the guys are making BS excuses and every excuse in place. And the client was like to him, well, are you an alcoholic? Are you recovering? Is there an issue? I wouldn't say the guy was an alcoholic. I think he was taking steroids at the time or something, but he wasn't an alcoholic. But that's the first thing that popped in the client's mind. Why? Because that was that client. So again, it's like refusing a drink and can raise questions in some cultures. So have an excuse in place. I remember once, Nigeria, I'll mention, and a lot of Nigerians drink heavily. We went to, well, one meeting in particular we went to there, and again, we turned up, there's another couple of Americans there. One of the Americans was into the fitness stuff, didn't drink, didn't do this, didn't do anything, wouldn't eat, whatever. A little bit good, solid guy, but a little bit too fussy. And we turn up for this meeting, and there's a ton of alcohol, top quality alcohol on the table, etc. This guy said to the client, he said to the people he's meeting with, do you have any water? And again, the Africans are looking at him, the Nigerians are looking at him like, do you really want to drink? You've got top quality alcohol on the table, beer, etc., and you want to drink water. You really want to drink the water in Nigeria. I think they sorted him out something, but that raised a few eyebrows. So again, if you're trying to assimilate with other cultures or deal with other cultures, sometimes you have to lean towards their way of doing things. From the investigation perspective, if you're doing, let's say, undercover work, surveillance work, etc., if you're following people into bars and restaurants, it helps to have a beer, it helps to have a glass of wine, it helps to have a drink. Now, I remember doing something years ago, and the guys I tasked to do something, this was training, it was training, when I was in Miami, and I used to send people into one of the bars in a little bit of a sketchy area, and these two guys walked in, or this one guy in particular walked in, and this was a little bit of a sketchy bar. And I said to him, as he walked in, I was outside watching what was going on, as he walked in, a couple of guys walked out straight away. And I said to him, what did you have to drink in that bar? And he said, a Diet Coke. You know what? I'm sure he was the only person in a very long time that went into that bar by himself, sat at a table or sat at the bar and ordered a Diet Coke. One, I send people into those places to be able to see if they can assimilate, and also to show them that, how can I put it? You got to be able to blend in all situations, in all areas. This guy just didn't blend in, it wouldn't work. And I think the fact he went in there and politely ordered a Diet Coke, how can I put it, made everybody a little bit suspicious of why he was there and what he was doing. Especially that he's not there talking to anybody, he's not doing anything, just went in, had a Diet Coke, had a look around and walked out again. You got to think about it. If you think you're being watched and followed, one indicator somebody's law enforcement, security, or on surveillance, on duty, would be the fact that they're not drinking. Why aren't they drinking? Because they're not allowed to drink on duty. If you're in a bar, in a restaurant, or you're looking around and you see somebody that's just there, sat at the bar, sat at a table somewhere, not drinking, not eating, that's a red flag that they're up to something. Or they're just drinking something small, or they're drinking a glass of water, etc. Then why are they in a bar? Why are they in a restaurant? People don't go to bars and restaurants to drink bottles of water or Diet Cokes. So this is where it helps when you're doing surveillance work, undercover work, etc., to go into a place, and if it fits the profile of the location, then to go in and have a drink or two. And again, don't get wasted. Have a drink or two, it will help you blend in. That's to me, that's common sense. These people that are anti-alcohol, oh, we wouldn't do this, we wouldn't do that, we wouldn't do whatever. You know what, then most of the time you're no good for surveillance work. You're very limited for surveillance work. And if you're one of these people that have a glass of wine and go crazy, a glass of wine or two and get drunk, then again, you're very limited on your limited on what you can do. But that's just my perspective. General rule: if having a glass of wine, a beer or two helps you blend in, with a culture, helps you blend in with the environment, no worries. Just don't go getting wasted. And again, you always have to ensure you know the laws on the amount of alcohol you can drink if you're driving, and also the laws on if you can actually touch alcohol if you are carrying firearms. And if you don't want to drink, if you don't like to drink, then have excuses in place if you're going to be dealing with people where drinking is part of the culture. So just a little bit of my perspective, and all perspectives are different. In the meantime, follow us along on social media. We've got a load of videos up now on YouTube, Instagram, etc. And our favorite platform is, for the moment, is LinkedIn. It's a lot more professional. So follow us along on there. If you've got any questions, reach out to us, and I'm happy to answer questions where I have the time. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble. And again, remember, alcohol is good, okay, in limitations, if it helps you blend in. If you don't need it, don't touch it. But if it helps you blend in, again, don't drink too much, don't go getting wasted, be professional. And if you know you can't have more than one drink without getting drunk, then have good excuses in place of why you shouldn't be drinking.